So I want to talk to you about, I labeled this unnecessary podcast advice. And I'm not saying I do a perfect show. I'm not saying that I don't have thousands of downloads or whatever, but I've been doing this long enough where I know like the bare minimum you need, you may not have to spend any money at all. And like maybe you should, but what I want to do today, I just want to show, I want to, or I guess you're going to hear what a bunch of different microphones sound like. And maybe you can make this decision for yourself. If you want to start a show, by all means, I'm happy to help you out with that. But the reason I want to do this, and I hope this works, I really hope this works out. It's going to be a lot of moving parts. But I think more important than, maybe not more important, but certainly just as important as the microphone that you choose, is how you treat the space where you're going to record. So I'm sitting here in what used to be a garage in my basement, and I have my two 6x5 cubicle panels that I took from my office building. They were given, I didn't go steal them. They were given to me, or someone told me to go take them. And on that, I have a bunch of artwork, and I have my acoustic panels. So it's basically foam. And really what that does, some nerd stuff, sorry if I lose you, is because the sound is going to hit, if it hits the wall, like imagine when you go into an empty room, no furniture, nothing, you just an empty room, and you hear your voice kind of bouncing back at you, kind of reverberating back to you. And like, it's fine if you're just in the room, but if someone is listening to a recording, it's going to get a little messy. And so what you want is soft furniture. So blankets, pillows, a couch. You should have a rug, probably. Like that's kind of important. Have a rug underneath you. But if you're placing foam panels, ideally where you want them is in front of you, behind you, and if you can, above you, because the sound is just going to bounce off the walls. And if it doesn't hit anything, it's going to bounce the wall and come back at you. And so I have, the door is kind of closed, and I have like I don't know what it is. Somebody gave it to me when they gave me a bunch of foam panels. It's like a blanket, but not really. And so that's kind of over the door. And on the other side, I have my curtains to cut off the room, first of all, and absorb some sound. And I have my panels in front of me and behind me. And on the rug. And I got my desk in here and things on display and things like that. So what I mean is I have a lot of things where the sound, I don't mean to say it this way, but where the sound can go to die, where the sound can be absorbed and not bounce back at me, so you don't hear it twice, or you don't hear too much noise of the room or me more than once on the show. So you don't need to buy, and the cubicle panels are not necessary, but a lot of people you can record in a closet if you want. You can put your microphone in a Rubbermaid container, like a plastic container, and put either like a mattress pad, or if you buy the acoustic foam, they're like an inch thick. Slam a bunch of those in there. You could glue them, right? If you want to make it official, get your own little recording booth. And because you could buy little recording booth, sound isolation booths for a couple $100, or you can make one. If you get a plastic box and you put some acoustic foam, you can get a pack of, 10 or 12 on Amazon for $20 or something like that. And I'm not an affiliate for any of these products, by the way. These is just what I use. And so I've had success with it, and I want to share it with you. So there you go. So you could do that. You could put the panels in the box and put the microphone in there and speak into that. So you're cutting off a lot of the reverb from the room. And so that's going to make your audio sound better for the listener. So all that to say, you don't need to get a fancy microphone. You don't even need a microphone at all, because I know there used to be a service. I don't think it exists anymore, because now kind of portable podcasting equipment is readily available, and it's not all perfect, but it'll get the job done. But there used to be a service. Bill Burr used to do his podcast this way, where you would call, like just from your phone, you would call a number. I assume you had to pay for it for however long your show was, but you would call a number and they would basically record what you're saying and then email you the file when you're done. And so you would do your show on the phone, and they would send you the file of that so you could post it. And so that used to be a thing. I don't think it exists anymore because it's really easy to record your own stuff. Like you could do it just on your phone in your voice notes memo or whatever your recording thing is called. You can do that. you can go on Twitch on your phone. The missus and I do it often. Not often. No, okay. The missus and I have done it when we did our snack streams where we would, hook up the microphone and just boom, go live. There we go. So you could do that if you want to do your show live. You could just do it on your phone and then just rip the audio, download the audio, or I guess download the video, pop that into Audacity because that's free to edit your show. And then you have the audio to put on all the podcast places. So you don't even need to have a microphone. Like if you're just starting and you just want to do a show, I think you can go live on YouTube from your phone too. And I think every phone has YouTube on it by default. So just make an account if you don't have one already and just do it that way. Just record on your phone and you'll be good to go. So all that to say, if you just want to start a show, you might not even need a microphone. And I'm going to prove it to you because what I want to do is I'm going to record on all the devices that I have. I got a headset microphone, which is a really fancy, expensive one that I took, that was given to me when I graduated from college. I got the blue Snowball, which I'll actually have to record from my laptop. So that's going to be interesting to figure out. More on that in a second. I got my old mic that I used. That I got as a gift, the blue Encore 100. I have the Shure SM58. I have a webcam microphone. I have this one, which is the Zoom ZD-M1. That's what I use for the show now. And I'll use my phone. So what I'm going to do is hopefully this will work. It's going to be fun to put this together. So I'm going to record a little bit on each one of these devices. And I want you to hear the difference. So if you are trying to decide which microphone to use if you're going to do a show, I have several options here. And I'm going to let you hear the difference because enough people have asked me about this over the years that I wanted to do this, and we're going to try to put it together. So again, this microphone, this is what I use for the show. Oh, I should let you know all the other stuff. So the microphone is plugged in with a standard XLR cable, and it's on a floor stand and a boom arm that comes across. So the stand it's a tripod stand, and it goes, the stand straight up and down. And then the boom arm comes across so the microphone can be in front of my face. And so this can move. You might hear a little bit of noise. So that can move. If I need to, because I move around a lot when I do the show. And so I have to reposition sometimes, and you can hear my chair. Right? My chair makes noise. And so those are all the noises that you hear. So that is plugged into first of all, I have a gain booster. And what that is, so if you would just turn up the gain on your device, the audio, I'm not going to do it now because I hate how it sounds, but the audio, because you turn up the volume, you're basically increasing the gain, the input gain of the microphone. And so you're getting more of the noise from the interface. And it's going to sound all choppy, not choppy, it's going to sound distorted, it's going to be gross. And so I bought this little device, and you could buy a cloud lifter for like $150, and it essentially does the same thing. But I got this thing for like $40. It's a little guy, and it's from Clark Technic. It's a dynamic mic booster because I use dynamic microphones instead of a condenser, by the way, because I live in a very noisy place and always have. And so I like to reject as much background noise as I can. So yeah, I know. Sorry, a little more tech than I thought it was going to be. But so that's plugged into there it basically gives me 25 decibels of clean gain. So volume without the noise and without distortion and clipping. Not the good distortion that you hear on a guitar. This distortion would be bad. And so we want to have as little as possible of that. And so that is plugged into an audio interface. It is the Audient Evo 8. And so that runs on my PC via USB. And so I got this guy's like $200. I had a mixer and it was making a weird noise. And so I decided to upgrade. And I'm really glad I got the one with 4 inputs instead of 2, because now I plug another mixer to my work computer, and I can listen to my work stuff in the same headphones as my personal stuff. So that's why when I'm doing the show and I get an email or a call, I know it's coming in because I hear it in my headphones. So, which I don't do work stuff when I do the show. I don't do that. No, I do it during my lunch times and my break. So anyway, that's my setup right now. So that's what I use. So all of this, except for the Snowball, are going to be plugged in the same way. So it's going to be plugged into the booster and to the same interface. And the Snowball, the blue Snowball is USB. And so that's going to be actually running through my laptop because my webcam is also USB, and most sound cards, okay, let me not say most, my sound card will only recognize one USB like audio input at a time. And so this is why I also recommend, if you are doing a show with more than one person in the same room, like if you're recording in the same room, get a mixer or an audio interface and get 2 microphones. I would recommend dynamics instead of condensers, because that will cut down on the noise coming in from the other people in the room. Because condenser, okay, if you don't know, a condenser microphone is meant to pick up, it's got a bigger capsule, I guess, or whatever you call it, on the front, and it picks up more noise than a dynamic one does, because dynamic microphones are meant to filter out background noise. And so if you're doing a show with more than one person, I'd recommend, in the same room, I'd recommend getting a mixer and getting dynamic microphones to prevent some of that, some extra noise. How's that? So there you go. So I do not recommend 2 USB mics, USB microphones, because yes, you can run more than one at the same time, but to me, it's not worth the headache of trying to make that work when you could spend a little bit more money and get the interface or the mixer and the other mics. So that's what I would not recommend, multiple USB microphones. In my experience, the headache is not worth it. Like trying to get that all set up and ready and correct every single time is not going to be worth it. So let's try this. We're going to see if this works. I'm going to record from, this is the Zoom ZDM1 through the interface. So we have the SM58, which I'll do, the blue Encore 100, and this Beyerdynamic headset that I got from college. So that'll all be through the interface. The Snowball will be through my laptop, and the other ones will be my phone or my webcam. So let's start with the webcam. Let's switch on over to the webcam mics. You can hear the difference and see maybe, hey, maybe I could just buy a webcam and be okay with that. Okay, so this is my webcam microphone. So the webcam is affixed to the top of my monitor, and I'm sitting, I don't know, probably 1.5 feet back from it. And it's in, again, a treated room. So keep that in mind. If you want to do this, there's going to be a lot of noise, because the mic is not, like the microphone capsule thing is not as advanced as an actual microphone would be. But if this is what you have and this is your option, then it can work. Like I said, I use this when I stream on Twitch, and I haven't had any real complaints, but maybe they're just too nice. But no, if something doesn't work, if something is not sounding good, then we can make adjustments. But yeah, this is the microphone, or the camera brand is VITADE, VITADE. I got it on Amazon a couple years ago. It was on sale. I got it for like $35, and it's currently $56. So I don't know. Keep that in mind. It's got a light on it too, so you can have light if you need that. I don't, because my light's right above my head here. But yeah, this is an option for you. There are, of course, cheaper options, and yeah, you can try that if you want. But sorry, you just heard the mouse click. I had to close a window. Oh, I forgot. There's no way to filter that out, is there? I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm going to do the same editing for everything. I'll tell you about that later. I guess when I do the last one, because I already recorded the other part of the show, we'll tell you about that. But this is how the show would sound if I recorded, or if you recorded in this room or in a similarly treated room on a webcam microphone that's right on top of the monitor. So there you go. Here's an option for you. Again, I would wait for a sale if you want to do this, because I just saw it's, $20 more than I paid for it. So you can get a USB microphone for about the same price or cheaper. So, options to consider. If you don't want to buy another device, you can use your webcam mic, and it'll sound like this. All right. So let's get back and do some more comparisons, shall we? We shall. So there you go. That is the webcam. We're back on the ZDM1. This is what I'll do, by the way. I'll come back and let you hear the difference again to my actual setup compared to what I used. So that was the webcam microphone. This also has like a little light on it if I do video. I've done video a couple times, but it's really not my thing. But I got this camera on Amazon for like $35, and I use this webcam mic when I stream on Twitch, and people said they heard me better than they did when I used my headset. So I don't know, keep that in mind if you're doing interviews or if you're doing a live thing, that you would like to have your audience be able to hear you without too much editing or too much stuff going on in the background. All right, so just keep that in mind. Did that even make sense? I don't know. But anyway, there you go. Links to all this stuff, again, will be in the show notes at the website in case you want to buy one of these. I don't get money for it. I'm just saying this is what I've used, and I've had success with it to varying degrees. So there we are. All right. So again, we're on the ZDM1, so let's try my phone. Okay, so of course, as soon as I start recording, like as soon as I open my recording app and hit the red button, a motorcycle revved by through the alley. And so that's probably been picked up. Sorry about that. But so this is my phone. I'm using the Nord OnePlus 200 or the OnePlus Nord 200, and I'm holding it probably about 6 inches from my mouth. And so, yeah, I was going to use my my clamp arm thing. You know what? I'm going to hold the phone right where that would be. Like if I had the clamp, I'm going to hold it up next to the webcam above my monitor. So if I had the arm thing, this is where it would be. And so it's about, a foot and a half away. And again, my kind of sort of treated room. So this could be an option for you. What I really should have done is plugged in my earbuds to get that recording. But I don't have time to do that because I got to do 5 more of these and get back to work. So sorry about that. You could also, if you're doing video, like I have a phone stand. Sorry, you heard some movement. And so I just put my phone sideways. And so now you can hear what it sounds like from 3 different spots, 3 different angles recorded on my phone. So this is an option. If you don't love it, that's fine. But if you don't want to spend any money and just want to do the show, you can do a lot with noise removal and leveling and whatnot. So could be an option for you. So this is what it sounds like if I was going to record something for my phone. I've done that for my Patreon every once in a while. I just record from my phone. So if that's a thing that you could do, that's an option for you, that, you already have it. You don't have to buy anything else. And the recording app on your phone doesn't cost any money. So there you go. This is an option. If you want to do your show, this is what it might sound like for you. I debated, by the way, putting the, maybe I said this already, but putting my phone on the little clamp thing that I have. It's over here somewhere in my office, but it's not, it's a clamp, and it's got a gator arm, and it's got a phone holder so I can have the phone kind of above me or like at the same level as my camera above my monitor. But I didn't feel like doing that today. So I just held it, and it's fine probably. So that was my phone. I'm using a OnePlus Nord 200. I need a new phone soon, by the way, but that's what I have now. And so that's what it sounds like. So again, you can use your phone. Like I've had people on the show who used their phone, like just were on their cell phones and recorded, and it sounded just fine. Like they had earbuds usually, and it sounded just fine. So if, crisp, pristine audio is not really concerned for you, which it might not be, as long as you can get rid of as much background noise as possible, or even if you address it like, hey, shut up out there, car, or whatever, as long as it doesn't sound like garbled or distorted, or, as long as we can understand what you're saying, it's fine. It's totally fine. So that was my phone. This is, again, ZDM1. We did the webcam mic. So now let's do the blue Snowball. So again, my sound card will not listen to 2 USB inputs at the same time, and the camera's USB, so that mic is technically the USB mic for my computer. So I was like, oh man, maybe I just won't do the Snowball. No, we're going to hook it up to my laptop and see how it sounds. Okay, take 2 on the blue Snowball. So I forgot. So the Snowball has a little piece inside where it holds to the stand. It's in 2 pieces. So the tripod and then the microphone, the other part, and then there's a little kind of thicker part in the middle where you connect it. And there's supposed to be a little plastic piece in there to hold because the Snowball itself is separate, and then the stand, you screw it on. And then there's supposed to be a little piece in there to hold the stand, the top of the stand, to the bottom so it stays still. But I think over the years that either broke or got lost, or I'm not doing it properly. And so when I plug the microphone in and just kind of leave it on the table, it swings to the right. And so that creates a lot of noise, and I got to move around, and that's no fun. So I am holding it in front of my face by the top part of the stand. And so hopefully this is okay. The Snowball also has 3 different ways to record. So this is the first one. This is option 1. This is option 2. And this is a muted. So the Snowball was designed for vocals and music. And so if you're recording music, you would want to have a lower decibel range, or like a low, like you want, like I said earlier, or I'm going to say later, when you jack up the gain, you get distorted. And if you go too loud, it just gets distorted and garbled and muffled, and it's going to sound bad. So you don't want that. And so this is a muted input volume. So it's like it's 10 dB less. And so you're recording at a lower volume. So you could do some yelling if you want, and it's not going to get distorted. And you can get right up close, even if you want. If you want to get really close to it, you can do that. And it's not going to sound as bad as if you did it. Hold on, let's switch back. And it's not going to sound as bad as if. So I just switched back to number 1, and this is the regular recording volume for the Snowball. And it's not going to sound as like, it's going to sound a little bit, maybe a little distorted if we do that. There's no pop filter here, by the way. I have one, but it's somewhere else. So there you go. All right. So that was 2. This is 1 again. And let's go to number 3. So number 3 is if you want to pick up both. So it has capsules on both sides to capture from both sides of the microphone. If you have a guest and they're with you, so you sit on one side and they sit on the other, and both of you will get recorded. And so now I'm recording from the back of the microphone. The other 2 times, the other tests were from the front. So now I'm on the from the back of it, and it sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good to me. I think it. Well, okay, it looks good. I'm looking at the waveform. It looks good, and hopefully you will have this will sound okay. So there you go. That is the Blue Snowball. Let's go back to number 1 here. That is the Blue Snowball. Recorded on my old laptop. I'm holding it in my hand. I'm now cradling it like it's a newborn's head, and hopefully that's okay. But there you go. That is an option for you if the Snowball is in your budget, and you can do that. There's going to be a lot of unnecessary noise on this. So if you're doing it like me, I would recommend either make sure the stand works for you, or affix it, attach it to another stand that you have, because then you're not getting the handling noise like I am. But this is what I have at my disposal, so sorry. But anyway, that's the Blue Snowball. So get it if this works for you, go for it. So there you go, the Blue Snowball. I got that in 2008 or so, and it's really served me well over the years. I don't use it as often anymore because I've upgraded, but I used to do my radio show with it, recorded a lot of music on that, and when the missus and I stream our snack things on Twitch, we've used that as well. And no real complaints. Down here might be a little different because there's a lot of noise outside. And so hopefully we can get rid of that, or maybe we'll make fun of it. Maybe we did. I don't know. But there you go. That was the Blue Snowball. And I think you can get them fairly cheaply at this point. They've been around a while, and the company has released kind of upgraded versions. They did the Yeti, which I'm not a fan of, and then a couple other ones. But yeah, standard, basic, plug and play, USB, boom, done. Yeah, if you want to do that, by all means, you can do that. I can actually hook that up to one of these. I used to do it when I used to stream like in 2020. I used the Snowball for work calls for a little bit, and I had it on one of these boom arms. I'm not going to do that. I didn't do that today because that's a lot of moving parts that I don't have time to deal with. But there you go. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. I'm doing. You know what? I'll just let you know what I'm doing, because in the interest of transparency, instead of moving all my stuff around every time I record a new segment, I'm doing all this ahead of time, and then we're going to put in the other stuff later. So I'm going to finish the show, unplug this mic, and then do the other ones, because that's going to be the easiest way to do it. So there you go. Sorry if I ruined the mystique. I don't really care about that anymore. But I prefer to let you know what's going on behind the curtain. You don't even have to pay for this. This is not even a Patreon exclusive comment. What if I did that? What if I just said, all right, we're going to cut this here, and then so anyway, and I just did that? Oh, man. I'm not going to do that, but it's fine. Anyway, there you go. So that was the Snowball. And so now we're going to go to the SM58. That is by Shure. That is, I guess, the industry standard of dynamic microphones. We'll talk about that in just a second. Here's how that sounds.
Okay, so this one is the Shure SM58. This is the, if you go to a comedy show or if you go to a concert, this is very likely the microphone they're going to be using. It's very durable. It's lightweight. It's meant to be held in your hand. You don't get a lot of noise when you're holding it. I'm actually sitting in a weird position because I didn't feel like getting a whole new cable and getting a new setup and basically like putting this on a stand or moving it around too much. So I'm just using the same cable that I use for the ZDM1 microphone. And so that's shorter. It's a shorter cable. So I'm like hunched over to the right of my monitor where I usually would be. And like my right elbow is on my right knee and my left elbow is on the chair or the arm of the chair. And the microphone I'm holding in my hand. And there's no pop filter. You can use one for this. You can use either the windscreen, which will help with the plosives, the P's and the B's, or you can get a pop filter that you can attach to your microphone arm. It's like a big nylon circle, and that will help out. I've used one of those. I have one. It's around here somewhere, but I'm not holding too thick. Should I, though? If I can reach it, I'm going to do it. Hold on. I'm going to try this. Oh, it's not there. Oh, it's not where I thought it would be. Yeah, I looked over. I thought I had it on my my little table here where the printer is, but I don't have it there. Where is it? Oh, I can see it. It's in the bottom drawer of my desk. I'm not doing that, though, because I would have to put the mic down, get that. You know what? Would it be funny if I did this? Is it funnier for you to imagine that I'm holding an actual pop filter in front of this microphone while I'm hunched over at my desk? I think it is. I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, so I just went and grabbed the pop filter, and they're in it was a desk that I used at my mom's, and it's basically like a writer's desk. Like, it's not a desk that you would sit at normally. Like, you sit down and write a letter. Like, it's an old desk. You sit down. The point is, you sit down and write a letter, and then you get up and go do your thing. Like, it's not a desk that's meant to be sat at all day. But I use it. I store a lot of my in here, and in the bottom drawer are the microphones. And so I was like, oh, the pop filter is there. I might as well grab the Blue Encore 100 there while I'm doing that. So is this funny for you to imagine? So again, I'm hunched over, holding the microphone in my right hand. My right elbow is on my right thigh. My left elbow is now, it was previously, my arm was horizontal. I was going to give you the degree of the angle, but I don't know that. And now my left arm is holding the pop filter. It's about 6 inches wide, and I'm holding it like there's an arm, like it's got a clip on it, and you clip it to your stand or your desk or whatever, usually your microphone stand or arm, and you move it. It's got a little gator arm. You move it in front of, you adjust it, move it in front of the microphone. So now you can do all the P's and the B's that you want, and it's going to sound better. So yeah, is this funny for you to imagine? First of all, does it sound better that I have the P's and the B's now kind of blocked and being filtered? Or does this sound better? Which one do you prefer? Or is it funnier just for you to imagine that I am trying to picture this visual here, that I had the microphone way too close to the pop filter, by the way. Jesus, this is going to sound rough. So if you have it too close to the pop filter, you may as well not have one. So is it funnier for you to imagine me holding this pop filter in my left hand while holding the microphone in my right hand, hunched over in front of my desk? Is that a funny visual for you? I'm glad I could help. So this is the Shure SM58. This is, again, like the standard for comics and musicians and people who do gigs on the road, or if you go to like a performance somewhere, it's very likely that they're using these because they're durable, lightweight, they sound good, and yeah, they're just gonna work. So they're high quality and they're gonna work. So this is the SM58. In a pinch, or if I have guests, I will use these. So they're an option to have, or when I do the live show again, which should be 2026 in the summer. So keep an ear out for that. And I'll use them too. So I'll use them then as well. So there you go. There is a test of the SM58. Let's get back to whatever it is we're going to do. So there you go. We used that for the live show. I bought a couple of those. I got a deal because I bought 3. And we did that for the live show. I think it turned out really well. And I think those are going to last me for a really long time for whenever I need to use them. So there you go. That was the SM58. And what's our next one here? Oh, I used to use this one on the show. It's also from Blue, which I think they got bought by Logitech or something like that. But anyway, the carrying case still says Blue, or the mic still says Blue on it. So the Blue Encore 100 was a gift from my mother-in-law. And I used it for the show for a long time. And I used it to record all the vocals for my record. So here you go. Here is how that sounds in this room. All right, this is going to be the toughest one, because number one, this microphone is pretty heavy, and I don't have the time to fiddle with like taking so it needs the counterweight, which my ZDM1 also needs, which is on the boom arm, and I don't have the time to fiddle with it. Take off the ZDM1, put this one on, put the pop filter on, and then put all that back. So I am once again, or I don't know what order this is in, but for two of these, I'm hunched over in front of my computer, or in front of my desk, in front of the stand, and there you go. So this is the Blue Encore 100. This is the microphone that I used to record all the vocals for my EP last year, or a couple years ago. Last year, geez, it was 2021. So yeah, I like this one better than all the ones that I have. I haven't tested the SM58 yet for singing, but of all the other ones I have, this is the one I like the best for singing. I just thought my voice sounded better with it. Like my singing voice sounded better with this one than the other ones that I used. Anyway, yeah, I'll cut that out. You don't need to know that part. But yeah, it was a gift, and it served me well, and it still serves me well. I'm still going to do some vocals when I do my second record. I'm not using the pop filter. I just bonked it on my desk, and so now I'm using the pop filter with the, again, Blue Encore 100. This one was $100. It sells for $100, I think. Again, it was a gift, so I didn't buy it, but I think it's really good. It's a good option if you have an interface or a mixer, because it's not USB. I wouldn't recommend USB or like XLR. That's the connector for a standard microphone. I would not recommend XLR to USB cables. I used one on the live show for many years, and it gave me a weird buzzing noise. It was not very good. If audio interfaces had existed at the time, or if they were cheap enough, I would have bought one. But yeah, I would not recommend an XLR to USB cable if you're doing this. If you want to use a microphone that requires an XLR connection, a cable basically, that's not USB. Okay, so that's not USB. Get a mixer or an audio interface and do it that way. I would not recommend the cables. I had rough experiences with the one that I used, and maybe I just got a bad one, but it wasn't a cable, it was an adapter. It was the Blue Icicle, and it worked for a little while, and then it just didn't. Like it did, but it gave me so much noise, and it was so, like I had no way to really fix it. It was just an issue with the thing, so I would not recommend those. But I mean, Shure made one. Shure, however you say that. They just released one, so maybe look into that, but it's probably a few $100s. You might be better off buying a USB mic or using your phone or your camera or whatever than spending that money. But it's up to you. You can, if you have the money, by all means spend it, but just make sure you're spending it on something you're actually going to use and something that'll actually be beneficial to you and to your listeners. Because if you buy something and it doesn't work right, or the sound is off because for whatever reason, you don't want to waste your money. So just be mindful of that. So this is, again, a test on the Blue Encore 100. If I use this for the show, or if you want to use this for your show, this is what it might sound like. So there you go. This is our last test. We did them out of order. So this is our last test, which is good because this is not a comfortable position, being hunched over holding this heavy microphone. So let's get back to the show. And our final one today, again, that was the Blue Encore 100. And that one, I will say, I would not recommend holding. Maybe I said that already, but just to reiterate, that has a lot of handling noise. So if you're going to do like stand-up or music or whatever, I'd recommend not holding that in your hand as you record or as you perform. That's me. Or I guess if you're doing a podcast, I'd recommend you don't hold that one in your hand. SM58 is fine, but I think the Encore 100 has a lot more noise, and it doesn't do a good job of rejecting that. So also, you might want to get, if you are getting a floor stand like I have with a boom arm, you might want to also get a counterweight. I got mine for like $12 because some microphones are heavier than others. And so you want to have something to balance that weight so the microphone doesn't lean to one side, and then you have to hold it up and be all weird and awkward and can't use your hands all the time like I do. So just be mindful of that. Check the weight of your microphone. And you might not realize it. You might not know, like I did, you might not know that you need a counterweight until after you get the microphone in the stand and you get it all set up. And then you got to wait to record because you need another thing. So just keep that in mind. Maybe just buy one anyway. If you're doing this setup like that, buy one to be safe. They're like $12 or so, or 20. Maybe they're like 15 or 18 now, but I got mine for like 13 back in the day. So yeah, just do that. Just do this, right, guys? Just do the tricks. All right, one more, and then that'll be that for this segment. And I hope this is as much fun for you as it has been for me. So we're going to end with probably the easiest one. I don't have to move too much around.
is it's a Beyerdynamic headset, and these ones are really expensive because they're really fancy, and the headphones are really soft and super comfortable. So yeah, it's a headset microphone on the left side of my face, just so you know going in where everything's coming from. So here's our last test, the Beyerdynamic, the headset mic. Let's hear how that sounds. Okay, so this is my headset microphone. It is a Beyerdynamic DT290, and I actually used to use this. I got this as a gift from my college radio station because they used to do basketball games on the radio. They still do, but they bought these headsets and then did the basketball games, and then somebody new came in and they decided they were going to buy new ones. And so these were just sitting there. And so my buddy Tim and I said, hey, can we take these? And the station manager, JB, said, yeah, sure, go right ahead. So I actually used to use this on the podcast. That was back before I knew what I was doing about editing. And so it may sound a bit different now. I was also in a different space. I was at my apartment for most of that time in a cheaper mixer. So a lower quality mixer than my interface is now. And so it might sound a little bit different. But yeah, I used to use this on the show. And these headphones are really comfortable. Like, it is crazy how comfortable. Like, I looked up how much these just headphones from this company cost, and they're in the hundreds of dollars. Like, but it's worth it, I would think, because these are so comfortable. Like, if I could just get headphones like this, like if you want to give me a couple $100, a couple $100 for headphones, that would be great, because these are so comfortable. I love them, but I'm not going to buy a new pair because they're really expensive and I don't need them. But this is what it sounds like if I'm using a headset, which I do occasionally when I go on Twitch. When I have time to go on Twitch, I will use the headset. So again, coming from the left side, and I just moved it closer to my mouth. There is a pop filter on here. And so you know what? Let's take this off. Let's take this off. So now I'm just talking right into the actual microphone. It's a little guy, little capsule there. So the pop filter is not on here. The windscreen, I took it off, which, I mean, I guess you don't really need it because so the idea behind a pop filter or a windscreen, windscreen if you're around a lot of noise. So like doing commentary at a basketball game, you would want this to kind of filter out crowd noise and other things like that. But you actually don't need a pop filter to get rid of the plosives, the P's and the B's and whatnot if you are recording at the right angle. So you don't want to be straight on because that's going to give you all the burst of air is going to come through. It's going to sound gross. I tried my best when it does happen to kind of tamp them down in editing, which does work, I think. But if you want to avoid them, you want to be off to the side. So you're not speaking directly into the microphone. You're like speaking past it. So that can, there you go. So you don't really need a pop filter. You can get one. They're cheap enough if you want to do that. But there you go. So this is without the windscreen. And that's with the windscreen right there. So even you get a difference with the stuff there. In testing, you get the difference between, no pop filter and pop filter on this headset. So there you go. I love these headphones so much. They're so comfortable. It is a little awkward because the mic arm is only on one side, so it's it's off a little bit. It feels off kilter. So I'm glad I don't wear this all the time anymore. But yeah, if you want to do a show, if you want to get a headset mic, you can use that. It's probably not going to sound as crisp as this one because cheaper headset mics, the microphone is actually not as good quality, obviously, but it's an option. If you want to use a headset, this one is also plugged into the interface and the booster. So keep that in mind. That's where the sound is. That's how it sounds. And I do the same editing for everything. I remove noise and then run it through a leveling program, which does compression, amplification, and normalization. I think that's what happens. And also, when you're recording, just FYI, before you start, record like 5 seconds of just nothing. Just don't say anything. Turn all your stuff on and just don't say anything. So you want to get the tone of the room, and then that's how you remove the noise from the rest of the track. So little advice for you there too. And leave at the end, leave a second or two of silence, or put a second or two of silence at the end of your recording. So because otherwise the audio is going to cut off and it's going to sound messy and you're going to sound like an amateur. So keep that in mind as well. All right, so this was the headset. Let's get on to, is this the last one? I don't know. But let's get back to the old ZDM1 and continue with the show. So there you go. There you go. We tested, 6, 7 microphones, and I thought that was really fun. I got this idea a while ago, and I wrote it down, and then it keeps coming up. It's one of those things where someone is always going to ask, like if you're in a Reddit or on a forum or in a Facebook group or whatever, someone is always going to ask, what do I need to do a show? And a lot of people will suggest, oh, this expensive piece of gear. Oh, this microphone, but you also need to get this and this. Or like, oh, just do this and this and this, right? When at the end of the day, if crisp, like pristine audio is not a concern for you, then you shouldn't spend all that money to get that if you don't need it, right? Like when I had Josh on the show, and I'm going through old episodes, so Josh was on the show a ton. We used to do it over the phone. I would hook the my phone up to the board, and he would call and we get it recorded. And then he got a microphone or something. No, I bought him one because he had one and it didn't work or something. Had a headset, it didn't really work. So I went on Amazon and bought him a USB microphone for like $40. And then the next couple times he was on the show, that made it sound so much better. It was just $40, plug and play. You got a stand and I guess a wind screen pop filter thing. And that was that. And it was like $40, maybe not even. And like just that little, relatively inexpensive piece of equipment, and the sound quality increased so much. And it was just that little thing. Like, I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner to go, hey, just get a microphone. I'll buy you one. It's no problem. Like, it was an investment for me for the show, and it wasn't a ton of money. Even back then when I had no money, it was not a ton of money. So just keep that in mind. When someone says, hey, you should get this to do your show, I just gave you 7 examples at varying prices that you can use to do your show. So you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars out of the gate to do your show. You can spend $40 for a USB microphone. It usually comes with a stand. If it doesn't, you can hold it if you want. Or I used to have arms that clip to the desk, but I gave them away at the live show to people who wanted to do their own show. I also used to have 3 Samson RS or R31 microphones, which are not in production anymore, but they served me well. They were kind of noisy on the hand holding and what's called off-axis recording. So if you weren't right in front of it, if you were like off to the side, you were going to get a ton of fuzz on that microphone, which was actually pretty frustrating considering how often I move my head around when I do the show. So, I don't have those to test with this, but I think we have enough options. So bottom line, if you want to do your own show, first of all, reach out. I can help if you want, but you don't have to spend a lot of money to get started because there are cheap and even free ways. You already have your phone. You probably already paid for it totally, right? Also, don't lease your phone because that's the same as a contract with your mobile carrier. Just buy the phone, please. Little advice for you, little financial advice. So yeah, there are plenty of cheap or free options that you can use to record your show. You know what? Hold on 1 second. I want to look up one thing before we go. Not go for the show, but like go to the next thing. Hold on. Okay, so I looked it up and there are still services where you can call. You have to pay, $10 a month or whatever. But you can still do that on your phone. You can call just from your phone and they'll record the audio for you and send it back to you. So I'll share a link to that. It was a blog post of like 11 best, podcast, phone recording software options. So I'll share that in the show notes at the website. If that's something you want to do, if you just want to put on your earbuds and record, there you go. You can do that. Those services still exist. But if you download like the Podbean app or like I said, YouTube you can use, or just your voice recorder on your phone, you can just record your audio on your phone and that can be your show. So there are options. So when someone says you need to get this expensive piece of equipment, whatever it is, the Stream Deck or get the SM7 microphone, which is $400, by the way. And they say, oh, you need this. Okay, cool. But if I have this, I also need to buy this. And so my total cost is not going to be $150 for that thing, for that device. It's going to be $150 plus, $40 for the microphone, $50 for the interface, $30 for the cables and the things and that. And so it's just something to think about, something to consider when you're starting a show. You do not need all the bells and whistles. All you need, microphone. You can get them pretty cheaply. I would recommend, depending on where you are, because again, just as important is treating the room. So the type of microphone is important, and treating the room where you're recording is also important. So keep that in mind, and good luck. If I can help you out, let me know. I will do my best. And don't spend all the money first. Do some research. Let me know. I'll help you out. And we can all have fun. You can come on the show and promote your show, and we'll have a good time. Okay? All right. We'll take a break. We got 2 more little things, and then the captain should be joining us. And then, or no, we'll do the captain, and then 2 things, and then that'll be that. All right? We'll take a break. We'll be right back and do all that stuff that I just said. And there it was. That was me talking into a whole bunch of different microphones and a whole bunch of different positions in this room. That was so much fun. I've had that on the list for a long time because people asked me that kind of a while ago. And I wrote it down like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was going to do a video and show you all the different things. But then I didn't really have, I probably could have done it if I staggered it and did all that. But I don't like editing video. It takes way too much time. And I feel like not a lot of people would see it anyway. So I didn't want to do that. And then I decided, well, I've been seeing all these posts and all this stuff. So finally, let's sit down and figure this out. And I think maybe I won't say I nailed it. I'll leave that up to you. But I had a lot of fun putting this together. So thank you for indulging me. And again, if you would like to start your own show, I can certainly help you with the recording aspect of it. I don't know a ton about setting up your feed to get it to Apple and Amazon and wherever. Not yet anyway. I'm going to learn that part soon, I suppose. But yeah, I don't really know about that part. But as far as the tech side of it and actually recording the show and editing, I can certainly help you with that and push you in the right direction there. But again, maybe just as important, if not a little bit more important than the microphone you use is, sorry if you can hear the washer going, the door's open, is the way your room is set up. Because that's going to determine which microphone is going to be best for you. And and it depends where you live too, like where you're recording. If you have a noisy space, you don't want the microphone that's going to pick up all the stuff. You want one that's going to reject as much of that as possible. So I'm here to help. I'm happy to do it. And hopefully when I explain it to you, it won't take an hour. So so there you go. That was me. This was so much fun. Like I said, on the books for a while. And I'm glad I finally got to sit down and actually do it. And I had a lot of fun doing all the things. And I like how a lot of that stuff sounded. I was surprised at how the Encore 100 sounded being held in my hand, because I remember distinctly using that early on. Well, not early on, but using that on the show and trying to, move it with my hand and getting a ton of noise. And I don't think I had any when I was holding it here hunched over at my desk. So happy about that. And that's it was a good surprise, I guess. And there you go. So that is that.